Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are joined live by Liezel here on the podcast, also on Zoom, better known as myteenlifecoach.com. That's her website. And Liezel, would you mind introducing yourself to our listeners today?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Liezel Lane is my name. I am a professional teen resilience coach. I'm also the founder and the CEO of myteenlifecoach.com and a faculty member for the Youth Coaching Institute. And although we are based in Georgia, we do serve all over the world. And you can reach us on our website, which is myteenlifecoach.com. And I'll give you my number later on.
Perfect. And she really has a deep understanding of moods and emotional reactivity in adolescence, especially. She has teenagers herself. And right now I'm going to pull on my sister, Jennifer Rodriguez. Are you there? Hello.
I'm here. Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Liezel and Jen. We talked a little bit about my sister last week. I have a nephew. I'll let my sister explain. And he may be in need of some benefits, some coaching, let alone, he's under doctor's care. So, Jen, let me have you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about John Anthony.
Okay, my son, John, is 14 years old and at a young age had some delays, which we worked through. OTPT, learning early intervention and things like that. And then when he got into school, we realized it was a little bit more involved. He did get an ADHD diagnosis when he was 5. Never an actual autism diagnosis, but there are some similarities in between some of the learning disabilities he has and stuff like that. Mostly it's not even as much ADHD as it is like learning disabilities and stuff like that. But as the years have gone on, those have brought frustrations to kids like John. Well, John himself also. Things are harder for him. His attention span isn't there. There's frustration with schoolwork and homework, lack of interest, which causes a lot of stressors between family. Never in school. His behavior in school has always been on point, respectful, does what he needs to do, within his own means, with support in school. The support we get through school is amazing. But a lot of times,
what type of program he is in at school currently?
Sure. He went from originally being in a 15-1 setting, which is 15 kids to one teacher and like one TA, to a 12-1-1, which is no more than 12 students in a room with one teacher and one TA. And that's where he's been pretty much his entire school career. Middle school came. We're at a point right now where his learning for, his placement for high school is on the table, and we're having some difficulties with deciding which kind of program to send him to. A very lax setting where he can learn still, but not really gain much of a diploma, and the other path puts him flat out in a region bound setting. All trying to stay within the means of what he's capable of doing, but not limit him, because we know that he has capabilities. As much as some disabilities, he has plenty of capabilities. So we're trying to work through that. But when you get to the behavior part, we've seen the frustration, the behaviors, again, always with most of the time when he was younger and in school was just always respectful, never standoffish or oppositional at school with anybody, the teachers and everything. He was just a love. And I would get the frustrated student who never wanted to do schoolwork at home. It would make a really happy kid just become the complete opposite for those times. Defiant, nasty, anything he could do to get out of doing the work, things like that. And then that caused a lot of friction, and then that caused behaviors. Anxiety is another thing he suffers from. So that's another huge piece that we struggle with, because it prevents him from doing a lot of things just because he can't wrap his mind around just pushing through and going to do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Or it takes a lot longer for us to convince him that it's okay to be somewhere, we're all together. Like, I have huge family support between my sister and her kids, my father, my in-laws, everyone who just gets John, and like school gets him. Like, they know him as well as we do. So it is a huge support, but it makes things hard for me, which then makes things hard for our group. Sometimes, Jill pushes us through to do a lot of things with the family. And certain times he's more gung-ho than his body will let him be at the time that we're doing it.
Right.
And then we get this person who doesn't want to get in the car, and then the confrontation starts. And for a while there, it was borderline feeling like ODD, like the opposition of defiancy disorder.
Yes.
And I felt when we got to that point, I was bringing out like the worst in him, because I know he doesn't want to be that way or feel that way, which is a whole other way to look at things, because as a parent, you get frustrated, but then you have to remember they can't help it.
Right. Right.
Factoring, and now he's going through puberty, and also
goodness, that was my next sentence.
And then I want to talk about medication, and then have so the puberty issue, obviously that's normal, but in the situation with John, he doesn't know how to express it, so all he does is want to talk about it, which is okay.
It's amplified, and we are so open, and we'll talk to him about
we talk about sex,
he wants,
he asks, we tell him. But every time I go to the house, in particular, I'm his aunt, I'm very close with him, he wants to talk to me, and to the point where Jen will tell you, he corners me, Auntie Jill, I want to talk to you. So it's a little obsessive where he wants to keep talking. We say it's okay to talk, but now it becomes inappropriate. My little kids are around, and talk. And
but it's not her. And when it's not her, it's me. Like, even though I'm his mom, he waits for like everybody to leave the room, and that's what he's dwelling on. So he is on an anxiety medication. He's on the sertraline.
Oh, yeah. What is it called? What was the latest one you just tried? Wait.
So the sertraline is for the anxiety.
Okay. Right. Been on that for how long?
He's been on that, I think since after mommy died, Jill. So maybe like 4 years now. But I'm not going to say it doesn't work, because maybe it is doing a lot that we can't see, but he still has the anxieties and the behaviors. And first he acts out, and then he's fine, or first he's uncomfortable, and then he has to like sometimes almost have like a meltdown in order to like release whatever is making him anxious, and then we can move on and enjoy something. But all that time up until that point is so stressful for everybody around us. It's stressful for him too, but for us.
Is his ADHD medicine regulated? Do you feel like that is like settled?
So, because there was so much more of a learning disability than the actual ADHD, we took a break from any ADHD medications, and it was just the sertraline for the past 4 years. Through his developmental pediatrician, who is also amazing. He's had teachers and doctors who really have taken the time to go extra for me, and have always had such great advice. But as of recently, we started a neurologist, kind of collaborating with my developmental pediatrician. We worked back and forth with each other, and this gentleman put him on the dexmethylphenidate for the ADHD. But we've only been on, this is our week 2 of that. Week 1, he was
tired during the day.
He was tired during the day. Yes. And then up all night. And then a little more emotional and a little more agitated. But I see that subsiding. So then I'll give it another couple weeks to see like a real feel for it.
Because it will take a few weeks, right? So
Jennifer, one more thing I wanted to add. When we have attempted therapy and counseling, I'm all for it. But he is so oppositional to it that I'm not a quitter. Right. I had to quit. Like, it was detrimental.
He won't leave the house, then she'll have to pull him. And maybe if it was virtual, but still he gets frustrated and nervous. might run. So it's been a hard
And like
thing.
how I explain it is that I feel he, like any adult person would, they don't want to sit in a room and talk about their faults or their struggles or their problems. You know,
Yeah.
they feel cornered, especially somebody who's not open to it, and we're making him go.
Right.
So it would really be a half an hour or an hour, depending on which therapist it was. We tried two.
Yeah.
That was just a fight for a half hour straight.
Mm.
Like nobody was able to talk, and it was him just trying to get out of the room and
Right.
on. And I didn't even get to speak to her myself. So then it was considered like I should just go and see somebody myself because I need the input, but he also needs it as well.
Right. Right. Okay, that is perfect. That's beautiful information. So Jennifer, like what teen life coaches do is, so let's just take non-ADHD or symptomatic kids. What we work with are teenagers, and we meet them where they are with absolutely no agenda or quote unquote trying to fix them, you know. So apart from any stuff that they have, whether a kid has anxiety or ADHD or ADD and we know that they are their symptoms are being managed, they're still teenagers, right? And so they're also still going through the regular normal teenage things, the defiance, the breaking the rules, the, you know, parents are moving closer but I want to move away, like I'm trying to go be me and you keep trying to, you know, be on me, is kind of their perception of stuff. And so when we're specifically working with ADHD kids, you know, the very first thing obviously that we want to, you know, make sure of is his symptom management, like under control, right? And then we have like three other things that we kind of, you know, if I were to do some parent coaching with you, is it sounds, the first thing is, you know, what is his academic self-regulation, right? Sounds like at school it's fine. So it sounds like the school environment has created a place for him to be autonomous and structured in a balanced way for him to feel successful at school.
He enjoys going to school.
Yes.
And he is going to be 15 next week. In 15 years, I had 2 months this year was the one and only time that I had gone through something where he wasn't getting up and didn't want to go. And I had actually told him.
Beautiful.
All the rest of the years and months in school, he get up and go.
Beautiful.
And, you know, and in 6th grade, he would still get up and go. But once he was in school, the new workload of middle school.
Yeah.
Was literally, it was debilitating. It debilitated him. Like he was getting sick in school.
Anxious. He was really vomiting.
Right. Okay. So, but like the way that it is now is obviously getting him ready for high school. We want to, there is going to be an adjustment period, but we'll definitely want to mimic what he has as much as possible now, right?
Yeah, but that's the big question again. Is she going to push him forward? Can he do it himself?
Right.
Guidance to do that, because we want him to get. I'm speaking for you, Jen. You're my sister.
Yeah.
We want him to have his high school diploma or GED. We want him to go out in the workforce. He'll be great. But there's some his own ability, his own self is blocking that sometimes with his
So the one program limits what they learn and just kind of gets them ready to be anything in the workforce, and they leave with like a not substantial diploma, and they do help get them ready for work and in other ways in life.
Yeah.
But and he's very in between. So the other option is, if you want more, is putting him on a Regents plan. And you know, we've come this far.
Who could do Regents? It's hard enough for smart kids, let alone, not that he's not smart, but he has all these other learning
for Gen Ed. It's like
Yeah, that makes total sense.
So involved in helping him through it, but it's going to be completely undoable. Is, you know, what we're looking at.
Yeah, no.
Actually debilitating him more, bringing him more anxiety, and you know,
So
I'm not doing it for myself. It's what I'm trying to do for him. I'm not doing it for myself. You know. In the long run, it's way much more work for all of us. But it's still for him.
Right, exactly. Now, the two areas that I would be interested in talking to you and him more about would be to talk about his level of self-confidence, like how he truly feels inside of himself. Does he feel worthy? Does he feel like what is it that he would tell his best friend?
That's a good question. That's a good
Yeah.
question. Sometimes I feel like he's self-aware enough to have enough
Yeah.
himself.
And then the other part is the social integration part of it, because teenagers in general are trying to find their identity through peers or friends, or trying to figure out who's their people, right? And their confidence is fed through those things. And now add on all the other challenges that he has, and they might be feelings of, how am I going to be judged, or where do I fit in?
Say John is like the mayor, like my father. He's very outspoken, very kind. He'll walk over to a stranger, shake their hand, hey, how are you, how you doing, where you from, and start conversation. So he's very like that from what I see. And I'm assuming in school, he's every principal's best friend, teacher's best friend. He's the everyone's favorite. He's got an amazing
he would always go and interact with the adults more than the children. Sometimes
kids.
Okay.
Right.
I don't think he has trouble making friends. He has a small select group of friends that we all hang out with all the time, which is great.
Of the closest, right?
He's got quite a few
that he is most comfortable with. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing, and that's really good. So now we look at what is his comfort zone, or how does he want to navigate moving outside of that small group of friends? Like, now I'm going to high school and there's going to be these seniors around me, and what is it going to be like walking down the hallway and stuff like that. And those inside feelings, right? So how do I first feel about me? And then how am I going to translate that? And then on top of that, it's like, and now you're asking me to think about jobs and my adult life, and stuff like that. So Jennifer, one of the things that they say is best practice for ADHD kids is for them to have a coach, an actual coach that they feel like they are, like he can be the mayor with, right? Like, feel super duper comfortable in settings where he gets to be the mayor. He gets to be the decision maker. He gets to be, this is how I want to navigate it, and then to learn the skill set, the social skill set, to now go communicate that, to express what his needs are, and to advocate for himself, right? And also what they say is, instead of like, one session once a week kind of thing, it's like have a coach who's got flexible timing, where they can literally text that coach and be like, I don't want to do this right now. And then the coach kind of neutralizes and kind of like walks them through steps, small things at a time. And Jill,
a mediator, kind of like mediating his,
exactly. Exactly. And so like Jill was saying that, but he can't like sit in front of a camera. That's fine. He can walk around.
Sit in front of good luck. I said, but he might want to get up and walk around, and he's gonna,
And that's totally like, that's okay. I have a ADHD client right now who will get up every 5 minutes and say, I have to go change my shirt. And now I have to go put the dishes in the thing, and now I have to go look what's in the fridge, and now I need, and that's all completely fine. It's like small, but what you're moving toward or coaching toward for somebody like Jonathan, right, or John Anthony, is building his self-efficacy, his self-confidence from the inside out. Like, it's an inside job. And it's so interesting. I was just talking to my cohort yesterday. A lot of parents worry about whether it's grades or getting ready for college or whatever. And honestly,
no.
Right. Most of the time, the way we get there is not dealing with the grades or the college stuff. It's dealing with what's inside of them. It's, how do I feel about,
how to help them. Yeah. Help them to want it, or
exactly, and be in their skin. If think about baby labs, they've got these massive paws, and they've got to like grow into their paws. They're still trying to grow into their paws, and it's overwhelming. It's stressful. Yes, that absolutely. There's anxiety. They're all experiencing that right now. And then
I do I do more lately, try to keep that in mind, like the things that really set me off, that no matter, how many times we do something, it's always like the first time, like hearing it, like you have never heard before. And then I just tell myself,
Yeah,
that is typical for all kids. Like I do have to talk to
you do
myself
have to remind yourself.
that.
Exactly. And so
Yeah,
the parent coaching
myself.
stuff is so helpful because, the coach would be like, okay, mom, chill, it's going to be okay. Like,
Right.
he's,
Right.
it's his
Every
job
kid
to
leaves
drive you
in their
crazy right
room and
now.
cups in the sink. Yeah.
Right. And, there's this interesting philosophy that I have about the clashes between teenagers and parents. It is, teenagers are also teaching parents to start to let go, to start to surrender to the fact that they are, growing into their paws and that there's only so much you can control.
Right.
And so there's
Just
this.
at the time when you feel you've spent over 10 years trying to coddle them and teach them, not realizing there's a certain point where that's going to go the opposite direction.
Exactly. And so it's like self learning as a parent, as an adult, like, yes, I am a parent, and yes, they are still kids, but there's this shift energetically that's taking place between the teenager and the parent. As loving and as wonderful as that parent is, it's hard for us to let go of that control, especially with kids with special needs and so forth, right? And so, like, it's refinding that new normal and how do I grow into it, and then letting the kids start to, like, take those risks, within parameters and boundaries, and allowing them to fail, allowing them to make mistakes, allowing them to feel the consequences on their own doing, instead of, it's kind of, I see this a lot, even though John Anthony has ADHD and he has, he gets angry and he's having all these teenage things. We then tend to go back to managing them like they're elementary schoolers. And then the defiance becomes more, instead of the parent kind of just shifting their view a little bit and receiving that support. So just like you have an incredible team at the school and your doctors and stuff like that, having that coach, just like an athletics coach, a gymnastics coach, it's the same kind of thing, but it gives them and you a neutral space that's completely not judged, and just meeting him and meeting you where you are, and then facilitating and mediating between that.
Right, that there's no right or wrong. There's a way that we could be in between. And how do we do that? And right, budge a little, who has to budge a little,
you got it.
Time. Yep. Help each other see each other's sides of things.
Exactly, you've got it. And it's a dance. You're dancing, right? Sometimes he leads, sometimes you're gonna lead, sometimes he's gonna lead, sometimes you're gonna lead. And it's just that shift, but the fact,
also as a parent, realizing that sometimes you it's okay to say we're wrong, or okay, you win this time. Like it especially at this age, that, like you said, it's not all about I said because I said so because I said so. You have to start listening to them and reasoning with them, and sometimes being in.
Yeah. And I wonder what a conversation with him would look like if you were to say to him, if you could create the high school classroom that would be right for you, John, what would you want it to look like? If you were to say to him, if you could comfortably feel like we could have difficult conversations, what would you want us to do differently as a mom and son, with you now becoming a young man and going into high school?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he might have thoughts all over the place. Like he'll jump to many different places, but then what we do is we kind of, we kind of bring the highlights together, and we hear him, we listen to him for the sake of hearing what he's saying in between those lines.
Jen, why don't you ask him now? Is he home from school yet? Say, by the way,
he just got home from school. Also, no, I'm like hiding in the back.
Good. No, but these
But
are good things to ask.
no, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And like, we've tried so many ways, a little off topic, but kind of on topic, but we've tried so many ways to have him hear what we're saying about the puberty and, you know, his curiosity with sex and stuff like that. We've tried so many different angles to approach it, to let him talk, then let us talk. And it still goes back, in his case, it still goes right back to him being obsessive over it. You know,
Yeah.
I wish I had a crystal ball to see where this goes, because, or get to the end already, because, you know, as a mom, you don't know, like, them as a person, what they're going to be in 10, 15 years. You want to start worrying, like, where are they going to be? And how is all these struggles that we've gone through going to look in 10 years from now? And I could never imagine being where I am now, back when John was in kindergarten. Like, this was unbelievable time to me, like school and high school. I didn't even want to think about it back then. And now I'm here. So another 10 years from now, how do I, but it also helps me. I do work as a special ed aide in the schools since my mom passed away. So there's so many parents and teachers to talk to that have gone through it, and to know that at some point you think I'm the only one. I'm nowhere near the only one. There's parents who've had it way easier and parents who have had it way harder.
Right.
And I'm just another one of them in between, you know, trying to figure it out. And in the end, it works out. However it works out, but you don't know what the thick of it.
You also want to give him the best opportunity ever.
But you nailed it on the head, Jen. It's he's got to find his place. He's got to find what's normal for him, what's going to make him feel lit up and shine. And it's not going to necessarily fit, you know, like, you know, I have 3 teenagers. Do you think I try to coach them? Hell no. They have to go find their own coach. Right? So moms cannot be coaches. It's just how it works.
Good respect level for the parent, right? Totally different.
Agreed. And I also feel that I've tweaked. I'm not a person, I don't know if Jill could probably second me on this. My whole life is around keeping things simple, because sometimes when things are too big for me to accomplish, it just makes it unaccomplishable to me. Like, I'd rather small steps, simpler things, because life is hard. And I don't think I ever would have been the parent that was like, you're going to college, you're going to be a lawyer, and this is what we're doing, and you're failing, oh my God, this is terrible, you're the worst student. Never. But I did tweak even more with John, like, happy and healthy, because we both know what miserable would be for somebody in life, and unhealthy would be the things that you can't change. And I'm choosing the simple, whatever's simple and brings an end result of health and happiness.
Right.
It's just what it has to be. Like, that already has to be tweaked, because his path is not a normal path.
Right. And you are displaying incredibly open-mindedness and flexibility in terms of what, you know, you are, like, you're open to exploring there. You know, that's a huge, like, you know, you're 50% there, just because of your attitude and the way that you're looking at it. As well.
We're just almost out of time. So before we go, the last 2-3 minutes here, I just want to ask you, obviously you don't know John, you haven't treated John, spoken to John.
No,
but someone in a situation like this, you would recommend, how would it work if someone like yourself as a coach, whether you speak to John or somebody else, what's the next step for my sister in a sense, and for John, what do you recommend?
Thank you. Thank you.
So Jen, in this situation, what I would do is I would set up a individual call with you first, and just really do a nice deep conversation about, you know, beyond what we've talked about on this call, right? So this call basically
More detail.
would have been represented like the exploratory call. I would call you and we would have a deeper meeting. After that, I would then have a separate call with John, and I would just, gel with him and see like, hey, dude, what is it like? What do you want? What are you working towards? What frustrates you? What, like, mom is kind of giving you this opportunity to have like a coach to work with. Like, what do you think? And just have that conversation. And then if he fits, if you feel like that's a good fit, then that coach starts to help with John, say, okay, well, if we were to meet twice a week, like, what do you want to talk about? And what do we want to do? And stuff like that. And we just start to set small goals towards his bigger dream.
Right, and in his case, he would have to be brought back to a more realistic view. He's still immature.
Oh yeah, that's what we do, right?
And real life. But,
that's what we do.
15, but even more so an average 14 to 15-year-old.
Exactly. So we meet them where they are, and then we help them make it accomplishable and realistic. Absolutely. Like what works, what doesn't, etc.
And full disclaimer, he may say hi to you, talk to you, and then want to talk about bellies or about girls' privates. And that's normal, right? For a teenager, especially. No, it's just the truth. And because he does it with me and we talk about it, but there's I can only talk about it. And, there's a part where a point where it gets inappropriate. You can talk about it for a little bit and move on, but he always wants to go back to it. But maybe a neutral party he wouldn't be that way with, which would be good. So we can focus on something more productive in a sense.
Right. And also it's
more productive.
Yeah.
And it's his time. So often if he does talk about that stuff, we'll be able to go deeper and be like, tell me why you're so curious about this. What does it mean for you? Where do you think it lands up for you? So we kind of, we know where to get to where the motivating roots are. And then we're able to help transition into, what really matters.
All right.
Like a step-by-step thing. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Call me, Jen.
It was so nice talking to you and having a different perspective.
Yeah.
Anytime.
We're working together for months. She's coming to Long Island soon to do a TV show with us as well. So hopefully you'll get to meet her.
And where is she located?
She's in Georgia.
Okay. All right. We will talk again.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Jen, for today, for being so open and honest.
Yes, thank you.
Of course.
And Liezel,
thank you for your vulnerability.
Your phone number and best form of contact for our listeners today.
Yes, so liezel.lane@myteenlifecoach.com. Phone number is 770-235-8202. And you can go to www.myteenlifecoach.com with all of that. Just click in on Google, type in my name, and you'll also get all the social media links.
LiezelLane, Jen. Follow her, and we'll all talk soon, okay? Have a great day.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank
you. Bye-bye.
More of the show. Stay tuned.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.